Scott Brand here. So the Knicks, after 53 years, have finally won another championship. And the real question is, it's an uncomfortable question, is James Dolan back? I'd first like to introduce you to Alex Benesowitz. Alex, thanks for stopping by today. How are you?
I'm doing well, Scott. Thanks for having me on. I haven't stopped smiling since they won. 41-year-old fan, been through all the ups and downs of the 90s and then, the 2000s, the doldrums, to then the mellow years, to then down again, to now up again. I've seen it all. Not as much as an older fan like you, but I've seen it all, and it was like a dream come true. I've never seen any of my teams win a championship. Knicks, Jets, and Mets fan in my lifetime. I mean, I was 2 when the Mets won in '86. That doesn't count, So this was my moment, and it was everything I dreamed of it being.
Let's get back to Dolan, and I feel like he's already back to the old Dolan, and he's always been spending a lot of money. Actually, I feel now he's not spending as much money as he did before. If possible, because of that. And I really believe he made so much. I think he made about $250 million from the Knicks just winning. And we're not even talking about how much the Knicks franchise will cost if he ever decides to sell it. The Dolan that I'm referring to is the guy that the story is about him. And I just don't like that. And Leon Rose takes, who knows, maybe he won't like what's going on, and there's a lot of bad things that can happen, and he's already done some things that I don't respect and could tear apart the team. What's your thought about James Dolan?
I think James Dolan, when he first took over, obviously was an awful owner, and then he ran them into the ground. The Isaiah Thomas, Larry Brown, and everything within that era. That was the worst era in Knicks history, from 2003 through until they got Melo. I mean? That was the worst. That was the pits. And then in the then to get out of those doldrums, they put the story with Donnie Walsh and the Melo trade, and he was like, well, we can wait and that we're just signing him in the offseason. But with the lockout looming, Melo was pushing for it, and then the Nets were in on it, and Dolan didn't want to miss out on Melo, so he said, you know what, let's do it, and push Donnie Walsh out of the way and force his hand. And they overpaid for him a little bit and gave up too many picks in the future, and it kind of screwed their future up. And I think Dolan learned his lesson from that era, that if he ever had the opportunity again, he would not step on any toes. And after the Melo era, he hired Phil Jackson, or during it, they hired Phil Jackson. It was just the wrong hire, but he let him do his thing, and it was the wrong hire, and he just let him go. And then he finally got it right. And then he stepped out of the way, and he's been a good owner. You know what I mean? He's been a good owner.
Yes.
So he's done his job. Get out of the way, hire the right guys, pay them, give everybody the right facilities to develop and everything like that. And there's not a player in current or former that complains about him besides Charles Oakley. I mean, there's literally not one. They all show up for Dolan. He's a good owner. He's good to his players. He takes care of his staff, who have loyalty, quote unquote, kind of like a mafia style, but it's true. And I don't think he's won a championship. So I don't look at him putting a second apron restriction on the Knicks as that big of a deal. I know you have to figure it out. We can't just overly spend things. I'm not going to negotiate against myself like the Yankees do sometimes. It's just I'm going to make sure that I'm keeping my guys, not underpaying them, but I'm not negotiating against myself. And I don't think that the perception right now is that the whole Knicks organization found out about 3 weeks ago on WFAN when he had the interview with Carton. That's not when they all found out. Leon Rose and everybody in the organization knew about the second apron mandate for months. I'm sure. I don't know for sure. I don't have sources, but there's no way that they're turning on the radio what? You know what I mean? We have to stay under the second apron. We found out as fans and reporters found out, but it's just relax. The Knicks have had a plan. Leon Rose had a plan. Everything's been in plan. And if you don't have faith in Dolan and Leon Rose to this point, then that's just PTSD.
It started, and I'm not bring this politically, but the first mistake he made was inviting Trump. And I'm not even talking about whether you like him or not, but all the things that interfered, and the concentration, what Cham had said, and the TSA type of environment, and they lost the game, and they were just so. I mean, Brunson was not playing like Brunson. He was dribbling like he was. They were all out of sorts. So that made me feel like I wasn't too happy, but I wasn't. I was thinking it could be James Dolan going back then after they won the championship without asking his players. He accepted the invitation to the White House, and these are the things that kind of tear apart an organization. What the Knicks have right now, and why Shamet is here, is because of the culture, and the culture is just phenomenal. And it's for many ways, and they took the high road the whole playoffs, and they were treated so poorly by other teams, and people said such ridiculous things about it's
the perception. It's the perception of the organization from the reputation of the Dolan years in the past. And honestly, it's not fair. I mean, they've been saying for years, like, the Knicks never develop talent. They don't know how to develop talent, like, et cetera, et cetera. Meanwhile, they developed R.J. Barrett. They developed Emmanuel Quickley. They developed Deuce McBride. They developed Mitchell Robinson. They've developed a lot of players in this organization. And Diawara is going to be the next one. Tyler Kolek probably the next one. Like, they've been for a long time developing players. That's why they were able to make these trades to get the guys like OG Anunoby and Deuce McBride just was like a throw-in at the end of like the first round, early second round. And he didn't play for like 2 years, but he had a great environment to learn from. He learned from guys like Kemba Walker and Derrick Rose as his vets when he was a rookie and a young second-year player. Like, that's incredible to have that. Yeah, they were both kind of washed at the end of their careers, but like their brains weren't. You know what I mean? They were able to teach the kid like how to be a professional. And now he's a really good player. Like, he's the most underpaid player in the league. And it's unfair to him, but he's going to get his contract. But either way, point is that the perception wasn't reality, and I think a lot of it is people put so much on their takes and they go so hard for them nowadays, and then they don't want to admit they're being wrong, so then they double down, they triple down, they spin it, they say, oh, it's not a real championship, they didn't play anyone, et cetera, and it's just like it's don't downplay it. The Knicks lost 3 games in the entire playoffs. Like, it's a legendary run, like one of the greatest runs of all time, and that's not hyperbole. Like, it's insane. So how can you diminish that?
Well, who should make the decision? And before this happened, it was Leon Rose making decisions like this, but now it's not anymore. And the decision looks like, unless something changes and I'm wrong, which could be very possible the way things are going on, we never thought all these players were coming back at all. Even Diawara, they thought they were hiding him in the playoffs, and I could see that because I knew
they won anyway. Yeah, doesn't matter. Yeah.
So I think it's a no-brainer. Rose should be making the decision, and I know it's on his team, but he just behaved that way, and now he's Dolan's doing like a 180. But what do you think about that?
I think we don't know everything that's going on inside the organization. We don't know if Leon Rose is on board with what Dolan said. We're just assuming he's not. Leon Rose could be like, you know what, it's smart to not go over the second apron because in a couple of years you might go down. You get all these restrictions. You can't use the MLE. You can't sign buyouts. You can't do anything like things like you just start getting these restrictions. It's not just about paying the tax that people don't understand. I don't understand all of it, but I know there's more than just the tax. If it was just the tax, Dolan would pay it. It wouldn't care.
They already went by the luxury tax.
Right. So, but I think there's something down the road. They want to keep their flexibility to pay Brunson.
There is something down the road. You're right.
Brunson and Cat.
Cat's the only one where we can actually save money if he takes the option. If doesn't take the option, he becomes a free agent and he could just change his. He said he would do it, but that's 2 years from now.
Right. Well, that's the thing. It's like, why? Again, it's like, why would you not? If your town's like, you're from this area, you have an amazing fiance, you just won a championship. You're hated all around the NBA as called soft and all kinds of the P word and all these names. And now you're here and you earned your respect from New York. You won a championship. Why go anywhere else now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've been making $50-60 million a year. You could take $5 to $10 million less and make this work. I don't understand why you wouldn't. You know what I mean? And it's like the Tom Brady model. He took less his entire career, and that's why he was able to keep a competitive roster. And a guy like Drew Brees took every penny, and then his team fell apart. So it's just, it's not fair to those guys, but at the same time, you're making so much effing money. You know what I mean? What's the few $1,000,000 as part of the long term? It's easy for me to say, obviously, but like it's just. I don't know. It's you got to think long term. Like you got to think long term, and the smart people, the billionaires, always think long term. So we don't know what's going on in the next 2-3 steps, but I guarantee you, Leon Rose and Dolan know, and I don't think they're on different pages. I don't think that anything is. I don't think a championship or a run like this, because he went public with this before the championship was won, and like I said, they definitely have known for a while. I just think it could all be part of a plan, and I think this is what I said before Shaman even signed. On my Twitter at Nick Central, that there's a chance, and on my podcast, Bad Weather Fans, available everywhere, check it out. And that everybody.
I forgot to mention that.
That's okay.
Cover that at the end because it's very interesting what you have there. We'll get to that.
Thank you. What I'm saying is that I think that the Knicks have known this for months. They didn't find out on WFAN about the second apron, and they told all the players, this is the number you're going to have to hit to make this work. And I think they all have accepted. And you saw that with Jose Alvarado moving his player option pickup date till after the draft so the Knicks can make their moves and get under. And then he picked it up and signed an extension. Now Landry Shamet takes a haircut to get the contract.
He gives them something that no one else could give them. And there's so many amazing teams that are so aggressive in their defense. And between San Antonio, you need to have that equalizer that Robinson has.
Yeah. And he's,
so without him, then I wouldn't be very comfortable about them repeating. That's just my opinion. But
no, I get it. It'll be tougher. But if
it's a no-brainer to me. Just say they don't go across this second apron and they're like $2 million away from it. I don't really know much of a difference between $2 million away from it and how you're operating the team and then crossing it, because any one move will put you right over the apron anyway. So if you're so close, which they are, then just let's get this thing done. This is one of the biggest ones, the MLE. Do you really think the Knicks if they brought everyone back, wouldn't even need it this year, the MLE?
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Probably not, honestly. Probably not. That's a really good point, honestly. But we don't know what their plan is in the future. They might be targeting somebody. They might know that Towns is not going to take less. They might know that Brunson's ready to get paid. We don't know. And those guys
don't know what will happen in the season. And
so
they'll just have minimal contracts. They could sign free agents. They can't have a uneven trade where they are making money off of the trade. It has to be even. I mean, there's things, but it's just not for them. For 1 year, it's not that bad. And a team like that, for other teams, it is. Another one for you, his speech to the Knicks in February or January. He really threw Tibbs to the bus.
Right. Well, but which one by saying that? He didn't have
to, just by saying the reason why. He was basically saying he's a dictator and Mike Brown was not. And you don't have to do that. You can just say,
take the high road.
Let's go in another direction. The Knicks were down 2-1 against Atlanta. People were calling for Mike Brown to be fired. And I have to be an honest guy. I was one of them because I just was watching the way they were playing and all the mistakes, unforced errors, no timeouts, all the things. And look what happened. I'm going to be an honest person. I'm not someone who will deny that I said that. I was very open about that. And I don't know if we should have brought Tibbs back, but they just lost their toughness that they had under Tibbs. And I wanted to see that back. Well, I was totally wrong, but what happened? And everything he did after that was right, starting with Cat. I think the Cat move, turning him to a point center, was the smartest thing.
Absolutely. And that's the thing that Mike Brown does and did and does that Tibbs would never do, and that's be collaborative and listen to his assistants, listen to his players. integrate what everybody's thinking into the conversation. And he said that from day one. And that's why I said this is going to be a good hire and the parade's on schedule. Like, I literally said it. I'm like, this is not the coach they wanted, but it ended up being a lot better than what it could have been. You know what I mean? They went through every coach that they tried to get that was under contract. It was like a joke. And they fired Tibbs with absolutely no plan. And then they figured it out and they landed on their feet. Like, and when they went down 2-1, I think, they went into the playoffs thinking this was going to be easy. And they showed up with Atlanta and CJ McCollum, and they just like punched them in the mouth. And they only lost those 2 games by 1 point each. So it wasn't like, and they had chances at the end of the game and they just fumbled the ball a couple times. So they literally could have went undefeated until the NBA Finals, but they, going into game 4 and with Atlanta, down 2-1, I was a little nervous. Not gonna lie. Like, I had total confidence they could win it all, but like at that point, there's not a Knicks fan in existence that wasn't nervous. And if they say they weren't, they're lying. So. Yeah. And then just to see like, I wasn't calling for him to be fired, but like, it would have been like, there were going to be a lot of changes coming. You know what I mean? You can't just fire coaches every year, but something's going to happen and this is going to get blown up and there's going to be big changes. Like, Cat's going to get traded. Things are going to happen, and, then Mikal and it's just going to be a mess. But thankfully it didn't. And, Mike Brown changed the way they played. And I think the Knicks needed CJ McCollum to kick him in the ass a little bit and kick him into gear. And they didn't look back. And honestly, CJ McCollum should get a ring. It's like he literally lit the fire under them to be like, whoa, what is this? And then they kicked the crap out of them for 3 games. And then, then they just went on like a legendary run. And it was just insane. And honestly, it's something that I could have never dreamed of. Like, I thought that they would sweep the Sixers. I called it. I did not think they would sweep the Cavs. Like, that was shocking. But like, once they won
though, according to the coach.
Yeah, they won analytically. Yeah. Once they came back in game 1, it was over. I said they're going to sweep, but like, I went into that series thinking like, this is going to go 6. I gave Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs some credit and Atkinson. And I was like, all right, they got some guys. They've been around. They're going to win some games. The Sixers, I knew they were a joke. I knew they got lucky. They beat the Celtics, who were like floundering. You know what I mean? I was just like, the Sixers, we beat them before 2 years ago. This is nothing. And Embiid's like, 2 years slower. And, Paul George stinks. He's just a name. They just got names. And I just went down the list. I'm like, the Knicks have 8 of the top 10 players in this series. Like, why are they going to lose this? Why are they going to lose a game in the series? And people on Twitter are like, what are you talking about? Paul George, Embiid. I'm like, Deuce McBride is better than Paul George right now. You know what I mean? Like, who would you take on a team? You know what I mean? Like, Mikal Bridges is better than Paul George. Like, they're just names. If they had different names and the same stats, the same production in the season, you wouldn't think of them. They were good at all. Like, they were good. They're okay players, but they're not guys that are going to make a difference. And ended up being right. And it was one of my biggest like W's of this whole run. And I called it from the beginning of the season. I'm like, they're going to win it. They're going to win it all this year. And people thought it was crazy just because you can't you can't figure out, like, your brains can't process the Knicks actually winning. And like, just seeing it is still unbelievable. Like, even though I predicted it, like, seeing it happen is just like, wow. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it really happened. But it was definitely obvious to me, considering they had the same squad come back, sustain success. They climbed the ladder. They won a playoffs. They lost. Then they went down. Then they got Brunson. They won a playoff series, got to the conference finals. Now it's time. You know what I mean? It's just like, that is the trajectory of a team that's going to win a championship. You know what I mean? And they're the same squad. It's just like, if it was any other team besides the Knicks logo and the Knicks uniform, we would have thought they were going to win a championship as well. And somebody put it out. You probably saw it as well. Like, just put all the Knicks and Celtics uniforms and said, like, if they were this team with this uniform, you guys would not be thinking that they're not that one of the greatest teams of all time. Yeah. And it's true. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I've never seen a team win by that margin, and it's statistically, it never happened. And it's almost like they took Cleveland in games and the Sixers in games out in like the second quarter.
They crushed their souls. Yeah, and then the fans in their arenas just like rubbing salt in the wound. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's the perfect storm.
But then they won, and then they were waiting for San Antonio, and everyone forgot about that. And
yeah,
people even had San Antonio in force. I'm going to get into another thing, because Oklahoma was playing without two very important players in the San Antonio series. If they were back, there's a good chance Oklahoma would have been the team. And the Knicks just don't do very well against Oklahoma.
Oh, and yeah, I
And
don't want
they
to see
have
Oklahoma
matched
State.
up against San Antonio. So the
Yeah.
question for you is, could they beat Oklahoma or Oklahoma or
I
Oklahoma
think they.
City? Sorry, I'm
No, it's all right. I think I know what you mean, but I think they could have. I think it would have went 7, and I think that it would have been tough because the one thing that the Knicks have that a lot of teams don't have is that depth, and the Thunder have the depth. Like they can come at you in waves, and they're the kind of team, and Knicks are the same way. Knicks have 5 starters on their bench, in the playoffs between Shamet, Deuce, Clarkson. It was a 6-man, but you know what I mean. He's a top 6 player on most teams.
Right.
Mitchell Robinson, it's just like this is not real life. Like this team is stacked. You know what I mean? I'm just like, why do you think this team is not a contender? Like this is not. I wouldn't have been as confident, But with the Spurs, I'm like, oh, it's a wrap. And then it's just I didn't expect them to win in 5. I called 6, maybe 7, but like 5 was just insane. But once they took that first game, and then in game 2, when Mitch played perfect defense on Wembanyama at the buzzer, and Wemby even flopped to the ground after that shot, and Mitch stepped back and didn't let him land on his feet, like the flagrant thing.
Yeah.
And it was just like this team is just so locked in.
Alex, you exceeded expectations. I mean, you don't have a voice on Twitter. I did listen to your podcast, and you were good, but this is just you're high energy. You're an encyclopedia.
Thank you.
No.
So start the Knicks podcast. You're saying start the Knicks only podcast.
Please.
Yeah, I'm about to. So it's coming.
I've watched a lot of mediocre podcasts that are Knicks, and some of them are doing well, but I can't watch those anymore.
No,
there's some that are really good.
Yeah,
but you would definitely be a top one, and
I appreciate that. Okay,
so do that, please.
Okay, thank you.
and come on again. We'll have some more things going on, but
of course, anytime.
Organically, we both had different opinions, and it wasn't even contrived. So
and that's the beauty of adults. Have a conversation that you can disagree and not argue about it, and just talk about it.
Arguments are good.
Yeah,
I was told in a meeting. Let's end it like this. Mm-hmm. Is Mitch going to be a Knick or not? We may know very soon. What's your gut?
My gut is yes. He's going to stay, and I think he's going to take less, or they're going to trade Daddy 8 or Deuce and to get it done. But something tells me he's going to be here, just as the type of person he is. So I'm saying the Knicks. What do you think? You think he's gone, or?
I think that the way he stays is they have to cross the second apron, and if that happens, there's a chance of that he'll stay. But the way it is now, I would say no, and I don't think he should, because he deserves. It's one thing he's already taken. The last contract was he could have been paid more. So,
right.
But they have treated him really well too.
Yeah.
They have treated everyone, and it's the culture. So we'll see. We shall see. End it there, and good luck, and thanks again for stopping by.
All right, thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Okay.
If you own the New York Knicks, if $50 million in tax money or $90 million is too much for you to pay, you're selfish and cheap and greedy.
I would see you being upset in the event that they didn't touch the second apron for any of those guys that we know. I think Mitchell Robinson is a good player. I think he's an impactful player. But at the end of the day, he's still a backup big, a role player. I may not want to do that, and I may not need to do that and still be successful.
What a bunch of bullshit.